what is going on at our southern border. I mean, are there any Americans who are okay with this? There is a flood of Haitian refugees, thousands of them, that have been not only come to the border, not only been let in past the border, but are now being released throughout America. Now, the Biden administration is kind of putting out a big lie about we're sending them back. No, they're not. They're sending some of the unaccompanied single males back. But if you show up with kids, you are a, quote, family, even if you're not a real family. You know what they're going to do? Put you on a plane, put you on a train, disperse you throughout the United States. No COVID tests, no nothing. I mean, it seems to me Biden is not only inviting Haiti to come to America. And think about this. I mean, first of all, Haiti is an island. How did the 10,000 Haitians get to the Mexican border? They walk across the ocean? How'd they do it? I mean, I'm sure 1 billion Indians want to know. So that's the first mystery. Obviously, what's going on is you've got an organized movement here to take flights, to show up at the right place. You've got leftist lawyers telling you we'll tell you what you should say, so you can get through the loophole that the Biden administration is exploiting here to let people in and let people stay, even while pretending they're not doing that. One woman in Del Rio, by the way, was asked, "Why'd you come? Why'd you come all the way from Chile to the Mexican border?" She goes, quote, "President Biden was letting people in." That's what she heard. And so she's basically responding to what she takes to be an open invitation. Now, here's Jen Psaki, who was pressed by Peter Doocy of Fox News to ask why these illegals are not being administered a COVID test. Here's her response. Listen.
So if somebody walks into the country, right across the river, does somebody ask them to see their vaccination card?
Well, let me explain to you again, Peter, how our process works. As individuals come across the border, and they are both assessed for whether they have any symptoms. If they have symptoms, the intention is for them to be quarantined. That is our process. They're not intending to stay here for a lengthy period of time. I don't think it's the same thing.
What? First of all, we're told that you can be carrying COVID even if you don't have any obvious symptoms. Obviously, none of those people, having come a long way, I've come from Haiti, I've come from Chile, they're not going to confess, "Oh, I got COVID." No, they're not going to say that. Now, her point, Jen Psaki's point, is they don't plan to stay. And now, at the first glance, this is such a brazen lie, such a flat-out absurdity. Here's Bill Milligan, who covers this for Fox News in LA, and he's sort of taking her at face value and trying to correct the record. And he goes, if anyone at the White House actually came down here and spoke to the migrants, they would realize these people have zero intention of leaving the U.S. and every intention of trying to stay permanently. You don't travel that far to spend a day or two in Del Rio and then leave. But see, this is all based on the assumption that Jen Psaki is kind of giving it to you straight. I think that Jen Psaki's meaning is something different. When she says they don't plan to stay, what she means is we don't plan to keep them here in the migrant facility for long. We have all kinds of plans to send them off to Cleveland. We have plans to send them off to Amarillo. We have plans to send them off to the suburbs of Minneapolis. So in other words, they're not going to be here long. She literally means at that facility. Now, slightly comical, the whole thing is just so pathetic, it's hard to get much laughter out of it. But with the federal government not doing its job, Texas is trying to do its job. And so thanks to Governor Abbott, you've got these Texas Rangers, and they're rounding up these illegals who are hiding in drain pipes. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Anyway, the funny thing is you've got these Texas Rangers, and of course some of them go on horseback. And so we've had all these images all the way being disseminated through leftist media, basically saying that the Texas Rangers are using whips on the migrants to, quote, round them up. And this is, of course, reminiscent of like Western movies, the cowboy attitude and so on. And here's DHS Secretary Mayorkas. He goes, "Let me be clear. I too was horrified by the images captured by photographers with respect to Border Patrol agents. We don't condone any mistreatment." Now, of course, even though this has been widely disseminated, this issue of whipping the migrants, the simple truth of it is that you're basically dealing with, and here's an Axios article that's talking about this. It basically gives the idea that these whips are being callously and cruelly used on the migrants, but they're not whips. They're reins. They're the reins of a horse. Now, apparently what's going on is that these guys are riding so-called Western style, and that means they're using the split rein. The reins are attached to the bit, but they're not attached to each other. So because they're long reins, if you take photos of them, they give the impression of being whips, but Border Patrol does not carry whips. So what you have here is the left trying to shift the narrative. They're trying to shift the narrative from we're letting the world in and everybody's coming into the United States and they're setting up shanties, third world style, and they're taking a major dump under our bridges, and this is America. They don't want that narrative because they know that that's going to make even Democrats really nervous. So they're trying to shift it to the oh, look at these cruel Texans whipping the migrants. So this is a classic example of trying to cover for Biden on the part of the media. And then, of course, the Biden administration reacts to this, but, oh, we are horrified. Oh, we won't stand for this. Kamala Harris, the same thing. This is a woman who doesn't actually go to the real border, doesn't see what's actually going on. She goes to stage points. She talks to a Border Patrol agent. That guy's, of course, instructed in advance, do not say a word about what's really happening. And so what we have once again is an attempt on the part of the media to put a fake narrative over on the American people, believing that you and I and all the rest of us are suckers.